Hello my dear viewers and welcome back to the channel. Now I know I've been gone for, well, not too long, but I've been working on a theory and I'd like to present it to you all today. Because Disventure Camp is not the show it presents itself to be. It's a show of dark secrets, run by even darker people. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with Disventure Camp's twisted ways, let me explain the show's premise to you. 14 to 18 campers, well 21, battle it out for a cash prize. They'll spend many weeks at, primarily, Camp Tipiskar, a desolate wasteland located in the middle of nowhere. Now, with all that little information out of the way, let me get into the theory. Camp Tipiskar, as I said, is a desolate wasteland, a sanctuary for the unexplainable, a place where reality itself seems to unravel. But what if the most sinister secret of this forsaken place isn't the twisted competition, but the very souls ensnared within its bounds? Jensen. A man who, by all accounts, should not have survived Season 1. A bus plummeting into the great abyss, no time for an escape, and yet, against all odds, he emerges unscathed, as we see in staff stories. We know he survives, no visible injuries, no marks even on him. Now, that is heinous, because Jensen, a mere mortal, should not survive a drop like that. Even if the vehicle didn't explode, the speed of the impact alone should have crushed him. But we know something else, don't we? We know Jensen didn't escape before the bus went over the cliff. Tom did, though. Tom jumped off before the bus fell. Tom saw no trace of Jensen as he fled. Tom presumed Jensen had died. So I'm gonna ask you a question. How did Jensen survive? And I can guarantee you your answer is wrong. Not many people would say, maybe you managed to jump off last second, but I'd like to pose a more interesting question. What if Jensen isn't mortal at all? What if the man we see is merely a shadow, a perfect replica of the Jensen who perished? Could it be that Camp Tipiskar, isolated from the prying eyes of civilization, isn't just a place for games? What if it's a place for experiments? We know, don't we, that the people running Camp Tipiskar care very little for morality. After all, they do kill animals for sport. So what is stopping them from playing God? Now, before you all start screaming, Jigs, this isn't possible, nobody at Camp Tipiskar can make clones, that's what I originally thought too when I was stupid, until I remembered the zombie episode. Until I remembered the superhero episode. They have technology that simply shouldn't exist. They live in a universe far more advanced than our own. But is it enough to create clones? Originally I thought maybe these characters existed inside of some sort of AI simulation. But then I realized something. The pain these campers feel is too real. Jake's trauma is too real. Tom's ninja-ness is too real. Rose's love for Sophia is too real. The tragedy these characters feel is too real. Someone enjoys watching this, someone gets a kick out of it, so I concluded that this couldn't be simply due to technology. This had to be dark magic, obviously. Voodoo, if you will. And who better to orchestrate such an atrocity than our resident doll, Nina. Nina is different from the rest of the cast. I mean, just look at her. She is a literal puppet, so it makes sense for her to be angry at the world. Nina has become the thing she's loathed. She has now become a puppet master, wielding her powers with cold, calculated precision. And we know Nina has powers. She can curse people. She can levitate. She can fly. She's quite simply an evil doll. We see this in the motel episode. The evidence is right in front of our eyes. It's almost as if she wants us to know. But why? Why Jensen? Why even bring him back from the dead? Unless she intends to use him as a pawn in a twisted game of vengeance. But then I realized something. It can't just be Jensen. Nina wants everyone to suffer. After all, Jensen isn't too important, which leads me to my next conclusion. Every single Season 1 contestant is a clone, and mind you, I wrote this script a year ago. Not a year ago, I wrote this before the finale of Season 3 even ended. So maybe Season 4 characters are clones. Maybe Season 5 fans are clones, we don't know yet. But for sure, I'm certain every single Season 1 contestant is a clone, or at least every single contestant from the remake, because the beta season, for the purposes of this theory, must be considered canon. Now you're probably saying, Jigs, the beta isn't canon, you can't just say it's canon for the purpose of the video. And to that I say, shut the fuck up, because it is canon. Those characters did exist, those events did happen, Nick did come in 4th place. The reason it's considered non-canon is because it isn't canon to these versions of the characters we know. There's different iterations, much like the MCU and the Ultimate Comics, different versions of the same people. Now, I don't know how many times these characters have been cloned. I don't think I even know why yet, but I'm going to assume it's only been once, because Nina is sloppy. She leaves evidence behind, she's new to this, she's new to the game. And I've caught her in the act in 2 seconds. Now let's move on to Season 2. This is where things become even darker, because by this point, Nina is pretty bored. She wants someone to discover the truth, so she presents herself on the show. She wants a rival. So she begins placing clues directly into the show. And not every single Season 2 character is real either. Some are real. I know this. But some of them are definitely clones. Let's start with Carol. Carol vanished from the universe itself for like 3 years. We see her back in Season 2 remake, but she doesn't get greetings, sure. Some of you may say, oh, but her VA was like this and that. No. Carol suffered some horrible accident involving animals. After all, she does love her animals. It's unlikely, maybe, but it's not impossible. Nina is literally reconstructing Carol because Carol died, and it takes maybe 3 years. The gap between the beta and Season 2 remake is probably how long it takes for Nina to make these clones. And then we have Allie. And Allie is perhaps the most fascinating case of all. Many people think Allie lacks a personality, but what if there's a reason for that? What if Allie isn't an organic clone, not by magic? What if Allie is artificial intelligence? Think about it. Her obsession with gaming, her awkward social interactions, her constant adaptation to the game. What if Allie isn't learning as a person? What if she's learning as a machine? Unlike the Season 1 contestants who are biological clones, Allie is a test subject, a prototype if you will, a newborn AI learning how to become human. Now this raises another question. Who created these clones? Originally, as we know, I blamed Nina, but now I think someone else was involved, and that person is obviously Jared. That's right, the original host from the beta. Think about it. Jared isn't presented in the remake. Why? Because Jared is different. Jared sees Nina, and he understands her. He wants to compete with Nina. Now, some people may say that Trevor and Derek are simply Jared split into 2 people, and I disagree with that. Jared is literally built different. Jared wants to play God too, but unlike Nina, he doesn't have the magic. But he does have technology, the VR equipment, advanced science, the resources, and so Jared created Allie, a machine designed to imitate life, a rival project to Nina's cloning operation, which means Jared and Nina aren't enemies at all really. They're partners in a market. Now let's talk about Kai. Kai is perhaps the most important character in this entire theory, because Kai is oh so different. Through his spiritual practices and questionable substances, Kai learns to see things others couldn't. He knew. He discovered the truth. He found evidence of the experiments hidden throughout Camp Tipiskar, and because he knew too much, he had to be removed. This explains why his shirt was found in the forest in Season 3 by Kai. Not by Kai, fuck by you. Why would Kai's shirt still be there a year later? Because Kai never left. Kai uncovered the conspiracy and Nina silenced him. Much like Gabby exposed the villains in Season 1, Kai was preparing to expose the entire operation. Speaking of Gabby, Gabby is different too. In fact, I would argue Gabby is the smartest Disventure Camp character. You're gonna have to hear me out on this one. The evil Gabby we see in Season 1 in that one episode in Season 3 isn't actually evil Gabby, it's fragments of the original Gabby. Memories bleeding from a previous version. Gabby's reality is literally breaking apart around her. She knows something is wrong. She knows she's trapped in a twisted Truman show. She just can't fully understand it yet. But maybe by the end of the series she figures it out. I don't know, she is back in Season 5 after all. Gotta do something this season, right? Who knows, maybe she kills the hosts. Maybe she burns the entire operation to the ground. One can only hope. Now, returning to Season 2, Nina continues creating and discarding clones as she pleases. We know this because Ali has multiple voices inside her head, evidence of her failed programming. Evidence that the experiment isn't complete. Which is why I now believe Jared and Nina are working together, not rivals, partners. This entire competition is either an elaborate act of revenge or simply entertainment for beings who have completely become bored with reality itself. And Nina is getting careless. She reveals her powers during the motel episode, she curses Aiden, and that brings me to a terrifying possibility. What if Nina has to curse someone before cloning them? If that's true, Aiden's fate may already be sealed. Or perhaps Nina simply enjoys scaring him. Maybe she likes watching him panic. Maybe she's the Disventure camp equivalent of Light Yagami, a god complex wrapped inside a doll. Because the evidence is everywhere. Jensen survives the impossible. Kai disappears. Gabby sees things nobody else can. And now for the one final piece of evidence. The police. The police somehow know where Camp Tipiskar is, despite it being in the middle of nowhere. Why were they there? You could argue Gabby called them, but how do you locate nowhere? What if the police are involved? What if they're clones too? Or perhaps they're just trying to track Nina down. Military personnel searching for something they cannot control, because Camp Tipiskar is more than a game. It's a stage for something far more sinister. Clones, experiments, dark magic, a puppet master pulling the strings behind the scenes. And as we uncover more of these secrets, one thing becomes increasingly clear. Nobody at this camp is who they seem to be. The real question is, who will Nina clone next, and will anyone escape her web alive?